Beirut Rafish Hariri International Airport is Lebanon's only operating commercial airport. Every day, thousands of travelers from all around the world pass through its gates. Along with the constant flow of passengers, countless bags and packages are transported to destinations across the globe. In such a busy hub, security is the highest priority. Police patrols and private security teams carefully monitor every entrance and exit. But among the many people working here, there are silent heroes who are often overlooked: the sniffer dogs. These extraordinary animals are specially trained to detect suspicious luggage and packages that might contain illegal items. Sometimes it's narcotics, sometimes large amounts of hidden cash. They are taught exactly how to identify a target and what signals to give when they make a discovery. The officers immediately recognize these signals. For example, if a dog extends its nose toward a bag or person and calmly sits down, it means that item must be checked. A simple yet incredibly effective method. One day during a routine patrol, one of these dogs began sniffing the surrounding luggage. Most passengers didn't even notice. Everyone understood these adorable animals were on serious duty and shouldn't be disturbed. Some travelers offered the handler a polite smile, but nothing more. Suddenly, the dog became fixated on a particular box, an ordinary-looking package that had already been inspected and moved once before. Its sudden focus caught the officer's attention immediately. When the officer glanced at the shipping label, he noticed the box had been sent from Ukraine to Beirut. Apparently, it had arrived a few days earlier and was still waiting at the airport. The dog, however, didn't move an inch, its sharp gaze locked on the package. The officer had no doubt left. This animal had discovered something unusual. Highly trained dogs like this almost never give false alarms. When the handler gave permission, the dog lunged forward and placed its paws firmly on top of the box. The box was large, measuring about 3 meters by 1 meter. At first glance, it looked like an ordinary shipment. But on closer inspection, the officer noticed something odd. Tiny holes, barely visible, had been drilled into its sides. The dog immediately picked up on this detail, pressed its nose against one of the holes, and took a deep breath. Then, it let out a low, muffled whine. This reaction was highly unusual. In all its years of service, the dog had never behaved like this. Something inside that box was different, something far beyond an ordinary smuggling case. Within minutes, more officers and airport staff gathered around. With extreme caution, they carefully lifted the box onto a secure inspection table. The possibility that it might contain explosives couldn't be ignored. One wrong move, even a slight shake, could trigger a disaster. The team didn't take any chances. They immediately called the bomb disposal unit. It was possible something dangerous had slipped past Ukrainian customs, but nobody was willing to risk it. The entire room was swiftly evacuated. Only the dog resisted. Despite the handler's repeated commands, it scratched at the floor and strained toward the door, desperate to get back inside. The handler had worked with this dog for years, but he had never seen it so restless and determined. When the bomb squad finally arrived, they examined the package with meticulous care. To everyone's relief, there was no explosive device inside. But that answer only raised an even bigger question. What was in the box? After a brief discussion, the team decided to carefully open it. When the lid was lifted, the room fell silent. The officer, who had dealt with countless cases involving drugs, cash, weapons, and every kind of smuggling attempt imaginable, froze in shock. Inside, buried under a layer of damp wood shavings, were 3 tiger cubs. Tiny, fragile, and exhausted, the cubs lay huddled together. They had been trapped inside that dark, airless crate for a long time. At that moment, everyone finally understood why the dog had been so persistent. The cubs were terrified, trembling from the sudden light and the sight of strangers around them. The inside of the box was coated in feces, and the bedding was soaked with urine. Parasites and worms crawled through the damp shavings. The stench was overwhelming and filled the entire room the moment the crate was opened. Animal rescue teams were called immediately. With extreme care, the tiny cubs were removed and rushed to a shelter where they could receive urgent medical treatment. At first, no one thought they would survive, but then a small miracle happened. All 3 lived. They were given names: Maya, Tanya, and Anton. Fortunately, they weren't separated. The investigation later revealed that the cubs had been illegally sold from a private zoo in Ukraine. They were part of a litter of 10, but the fate of their other siblings remains unknown. The zoo's director was arrested, charged, and sentenced to a long prison term. And so this dark and hidden story came to light, all thanks to one loyal police dog. That brave dog was celebrated as a hero and rewarded with endless love and treats. Please don't forget to like the video, share it with your loved ones, and subscribe to the channel.